it's time for another Reading the Pattern channel update. There have actually been quite a number of things going on in the Wheel of Time community lately that I've been wanting to talk about. Plus, I wanted to let you guys know again what to expect in the near future from my channel. I have really gotten back into more of a rhythm for creating content lately. So even though I still have my kids home with me 24/7 and will continue to have for the next month or so, I still plan to put out content more regularly now going forward. So the new spring reread is done. If you haven't checked that out, there's 4 episodes. You can binge watch that right now. And I'm feeling more confident than ever that New Spring and flashbacks in general are going to be pretty important for the Wheel of Time Season 1. And so you're going to want to check that out. And now that New Spring is done, I am working on The Great Hunt. And when I do get to The Great Hunt reread, I do plan for those videos to be a little bit shorter, especially compared to the New Spring videos. When I did The Eye of the World, I often covered about 5 chapters per video, and I did more for New Spring, about 6 to 8 chapters. And I do want to try to keep The Great Hunt to more like 3 or 4 chapters per video, just so they can be a little bit shorter and I can get them out to you more frequently. But before The Great Hunt, you are going to see some non-reread content from me, some spoiler-free content. And there's one video I am particularly excited about, which I really can't even tease for you, but it's coming out later this month. And so you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss that one. If you are someone who is always looking for more Wheel of Time content, or you want another way to stay up to date on what I'm doing here at this channel, let me recommend that you join a new Discord server called WoT Fandom Calendar. It's meant to be this one-stop shop for all Wheel of Time content, and it gives you easy ways to opt in to notifications for content creators that you're interested in or to discover new ones. And hopefully as it grows, it's going to be a great place to discuss all that awesome content as it's coming out. It will also link you to a Google Calendar, which will be a place where you can keep track of all the live WoT content that is happening. I'll provide links for those in the description box. Be sure to check that out. So I want to segue to a more serious topic that has been ongoing in the Wheel of Time fandom for a while. And there's a good chance that if you're watching this video, you also saw the video that I did back in January on the Wheel of Time casting controversy, because that's been my most watched video to date. Also the one with the most negative comments and dislikes, but no surprise there. But since then, there have been a number of things as a follow-up to that video that I've wanted to comment on. I did think about doing a video where I responded to some of the comments I got on that one. Some of them were awesome and some of them were honestly bonkers, but I do feel less need to do that now. I did want to say though, if you were someone who commented on how you initially were surprised or unhappy with the casting, but then were able to come around, whether it was with a quick self-assessment or more in-depth listening and soul-searching, I want to say I love that. I think that's awesome, and I really want to encourage people to be able to just honestly say, hey, I had an emotional reaction, but I was still able to listen to what other people were saying. That's fantastic. At the time I did that video, there really wasn't any other content out there addressing this backlash in a segment of the Wheel of Time community towards racial diversity in casting. But since then, there's been some outstanding content. I'm sure most, if not every single one of you, have at least seen the video that Daniel Green and Matt Hatch from the Dusty Wheel did. They took an approach that I never could have done because of their level of access to Robert Jordan's notes, as well as the incredible time investment it took to research that video. But if you ever wanted the most comprehensive resource on all of the textual and supportive evidence for racial diversity in the Wheel of Time, that is it. They really break down why all of the assumptions that people have about what is canon or what is logical are wrong, or at least incomplete. So if you have an opinion on this topic and you haven't seen that video, you really need to remedy that immediately. But as I said in my video, and I still really believe this strongly, I think there is a certain segment for whom no amount of evidence is going to be enough to convince them to change their minds, or more importantly, convince them to change their emotional reaction to the casting. For more on that, I cannot recommend enough that you watch the video by the YouTuber Lezbi Nerdy, who did a reaction to Daniel and Matt's video. And she also gave her personal perspective as a Black woman and what it meant to her to see the casting of Zoe Robbins as Nynaeve. I really consider that video to also be essential viewing before discussing this topic. Seriously, if you still feel negatively about the casting because an actor or actress was chosen that doesn't fit the race you had envisioned for a character, you've got to watch both Daniel and Matt's video and Lezbi Nerdy's video. Without that, you're really missing out on essential information and perspectives that you need to hear to be informed. If you've watched my video and both of theirs, and you still feel this way, let me suggest that it might be time for a serious self-examination as to why the race of an actor matters that much to you in a story that is not about race, where skin tone and eye color literally never matter at all, other than in one very narrow instance where it's a clue to a character's true parentage. I have no doubt that this topic is not going to go away. We continue to get more casting announcements, and I'm going to go over all of that in much more detail in future videos. But I will just mention that we have two instances, one confirmed and one rumor, where I would say we maybe for the first time have some castings where there is some deviation from book description.
The confirmed one is the casting of David Stern as Sen Bowie. He is a white actor, but as Matt and Daniel went over in their video, Sen in the books is clearly described as having dark skin. The other is a rumor about the casting of Kira Chansa as a young Swan Sanche.
Swan in the books is described as dark hair, fairer skin, and blue eyes. And she is from Tyr, which is racially diverse, and where very dark complexions are at least as common as lighter ones. But you can easily guess which of these two castings has caused more backlash. Now, personally, I don't think either change is going to matter in this case at all. Neither one is going to stand out in what is going to be an appropriately racially diverse cast, and neither one has any impact on plot whatsoever. The best assumption to make here is that the show looked at all actors, regardless of skin tones, for these roles, which we know they did in some other instances, and just chose the best ones. But in the current climate we are in, I feel we have to do everything we can as a community to counteract toxicity. The thought for me that an adult Black actress, who will hopefully eventually be announced as Swan, would receive any kind of backlash for her casting, let alone a child like Kira Chansa, is really unacceptable. We've seen other kinds of negative reactions like this fester in other communities online, and I want to do my part to counteract that in the Wheel of Time community as much as possible. The value the Wheel of Time has in being able to appeal to and be welcoming to the broadest possible range of people in the fandom is something that I think we should aspire to. The fandom is going to get bigger, and I want to encourage as many different kinds of voices to participate as possible. To that end, let me again shout out Lezbi Nerdy and encourage you to check out her channel. She's already covered a whole range of fun and interesting Wheel of Time topics and is always putting out new content. You've also got to be sure to check out Real Talk with Recappa Sedai. Recappa Sedai is a character who does hilarious recaps of Wheel of Time chapters. She's played by Brian, who, out of character, recently talked about his experience as a gay man reading the Wheel of Time and gave his perspective on LGBTQ representation. Both of these channels simply have awesome content, and I hope everyone will be sure not to miss it. Let me add that I realize that in the grand scheme of things, some nasty comments online about casting choices is nothing compared to other realities of systemic racism, including countless deaths of Black men, women, and children at the hands of police. which has been going on forever, and which many non-Black people are only now waking up to on a wider scale. But that's the thing about systemic racism, is that it's pervasive. It's not about a few hateful individuals. It's about inequities that have been baked into systems since their inception. It's about unconscious biases which are denied, unexamined, and unchecked. And no one person can single-handedly dismantle a system. I would hope that the one thing that might take is everyone demanding change and exerting intense political pressure over a sustained period of time. But everyone can immediately and honestly begin examining their own unconscious biases, and we all have them. And so YouTube and the Wheel of Time is the one little sphere where I have any influence in following, however very small. But I'm choosing to make that a part of my conversation here and to continue to do that. Last and probably least important update is that for some time now, Reading the Pattern has been eligible for monetization, even though I have waited and have not turned that on for any videos as of the publishing of this one. But that is thanks to all of you watching and the many supportive people in the Wheel of Time community, which I'm very grateful to be a part of. I recently passed 1,500 subscribers, and I want to thank all of you who watch my content, and especially those of you who engage by liking and commenting on the videos. I hope I can keep continuing to improve and providing the kinds of content that you're interested in. Going forward, I do plan to turn on monetization. This is most certainly not a money-making venture for me, but it does help to justify the more time I want to spend on making this channel the best that it can be and helping it grow. So it's just a heads up and a thank you to all of you for your support. You're going to see some more casting and character videos from me in the near future. So subscribe, stay tuned. I'll see you next time.